right.
Welcome to another Wheelchair Wednesday, folks. Today, we have another guest coming to us from Hurricane, Utah. That's southern Utah. But before we get to him, let's go ahead and run the intro. Welcome to Wheelchair Wednesday. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and welcome Mr. David Adams to the program. How are you, sir?
Good. Thanks for having me today, Rick. I appreciate being here.
Awesome. Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for coming in and sharing your story. That's what it's all about, you know?
Yeah.
So with this little time that we got you for today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk to you about your life and life in a wheelchair, and it's going to be from your story. And like we talked before we got into, going live, and you wasn't like in a car crash or anything like that, like a spinal cord injury patient, but yours is actually a genetic thing from birth. So the number one question that we have here is how to happen and level of injury. But for you, I guess it would be is just introduce yourself and explain kind of the disease and what's going on with you
Okay. So I have a rare peripheral neuropathy. It's called Charcot-Marie-Tooth, or usually known as CMT. And basically what it is it's a disorder that affects the peripheral nerves, and so the nerves in your arms and legs. And there's a couple different versions. With mine, it actually affects both my motor neurons and my sensory neurons. So the motor neurons mean that the muscles don't do the right thing, and the sensory neurons means that I don't have the same amount of feeling and sensation that a normal person would have. And so I was diagnosed when I was 6, and as I've gotten older, it's progressed to the point now that I'm pretty much in my scooter all the time. I can stand a little bit, can take a few steps with help, but pretty much the rest of the time I'm in my electric scooter.
Right. So with that, I mean, you're how old are you now?
So I'm 48.
And you've dealt with that your whole entire life?
Pretty much, yeah. Like I said, when I was younger, I was pretty active. I did the whole Boy Scout thing, and I got my Eagle Scout, and I used to be able to ride a bike and go hiking. But then, as I said, I've gotten older, and about the last probably 10 to 12 years, I've been pretty much in the mobility scooter and just relying on that to be able to get around. So I try to stay as active as I can, but it's just something I've dealt with my whole life and figure out the best way to live the best life that I can with the limitations that I have.
Right. Absolutely. Now, this question right here is not really, I don't know, like a question for you, I guess, is would you walk if you could? And normally I'll ask people, if you go back to the time that it happened and change, would you do that or would you stay where you're at? But for you, I guess it's just like, I don't know, man, like if you could walk for a day and do stuff normally and run and jump and play, what would you do?
It's funny that you kind of I think about that, because it's frustrating not having my legs, being able to use them, but to me what's more frustrating is not having my hands. That's about as wide as I can open up my hands. So I have very little use of my hands.
Right.
So I've always said, cut off my legs if I could have my hands back. So if I had the choice between losing my hands or my legs, I'd rather lose my legs any day. But I mean, if I had the chance to get up and do it, I mean, it would just be so great to, go to the beach, go swimming, go run around, go for a hike. I live in a beautiful part of Utah right next to Zion National Park. I'd love to go out there and go hiking on some of those trails. So if I had that opportunity, absolutely, I would take it.
Nice. I like it. It's crazy. We're talking to somebody from Utah. I was just talking to somebody from Colorado. So it's like, you know what I mean? Polar opposites almost. Kind of.
Right,
Let's see.
Grew up in Colorado. So now I'm out here. It's kind of funny. Yeah.
Nice. Now, before we get into the next question, I see you got a bunch of Jeep stuff up. Let's go ahead and talk about that real quick. So, you're into Jeeps. Okay. You're a Jeep guy, obviously. What got you into that?
Yeah. So actually, it's kind of funny. I actually just wrote a book just recently that I self-published on Amazon. That basically is about it's called The Jeep Thing: The Life and Adventures of a Disabled Jeeper. And it talks about how, when I was younger, I was real active in Boy Scouts, and I just fell in love with the outdoors. And then as my disability progressed, I wasn't able to get out and do all the things that I wanted to. And so I bought my first Jeep when I was in college, and it literally became a replacement for my legs. It allowed me to be able to go out and do the things that I wanted to be able to do and see the things I wanted to see and
Right.
still have a community and be active. And I've just taken that on for the last almost 30 years. And, now I've got 8 different older Jeeps that I own. I'm in the process of turning my garage into a Jeep museum.
Oh,
I
heck
got
yeah.
all the Jeep grills back here and stuff like that. And it's become a lifestyle that's kept me active and kept me out doing things instead of just sitting at home on the couch.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Hey, I'm with it. Now, what about dating, marriage, stuff like that? What's that like for you?
It's hard. And I mean, I think anybody with a disability can relate to that. I've been married twice, divorced twice. I've had a few long-term relationships. I don't have anybody right now. And it is hard because there's this natural, I think, stigma in our society of looking at someone that's disabled, especially someone's in a chair, and thinking, oh, well, they obviously have all these limitations. They can't do this. They can't do that. They can't drive a car. They can't have sex. They can't, all these type of things. And for some people that may be true. Some people it may not be true. But I just think there's this overall idea that just because you're in a chair, you're not as good or you're not as capable. And in some ways that's true, but I think so many people take it too far. So dating is so difficult. Like right now I'm to the point that I can't load up my scooter into my Jeep and take it with me. I've got to have somebody help me load it up and then I can drive, but I've got to have somebody on the other end. So it's like, okay, I want to go on a date. Well, sure. Our first date, you have to unload my scooter and help me get in it.
Hey, just so you know, right. Forgot to tell you.
Right. And so that gets kind of awkward. I'm actually in the process of getting a mobility van built that's going to really change things, allow me to be able to drive up into the van and take myself. And that'll make a huge change once that happens. But yeah, right now, dating is hard. Having a social life is hard because anytime I want to go somewhere, it requires so much effort, so much planning that it's frustrating.
Right. Absolutely. I can only imagine. So the next one I got for you was, what about your pet peeves? What's your biggest pet peeve about being in the chair?
I guess that's what I would say is I know people, they want to help, they want to be there to support you, but it's like they so often just make these generalizations, these assumptions about what you can and can't do, or what you need help with, or what you don't need help with. And I think it's difficult because, me with my disability versus somebody that has a spinal cord injury versus somebody with, whatever the problem is, we all do have our different abilities. And sometimes we need help with this or that. But I think just the idea that when someone looks at somebody in a chair, they're not seeing a regular, normal person. They're seeing a person in a chair, and the stigma that automatically goes with that of, oh, well, obviously, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. And when I tell people, I'm like, yeah, I can. They're like, but I thought you were in a chair. Well, I am, but I can still drive. I can still go out and I can go jeeping. I can still, do this or that. And so I think just that idea that people make these assumptions and these generalizations, and they're just not accurate usually.
Right. Yeah, I don't know why, but your video and your audio kind of went wonky there for a minute, but we heard you. I think I heard most of the stuff you're saying. We actually have a couple this is a live show, so we have live viewers talking on the side here. Van Hagar says, holy crap, a fellow Jeeper, awesome collection of grills. I have a WJ worked on for years. He said his Jeep is his off-road wheelchair.
Exactly right.
Yup, and then Michael said he makes him remember when he first got his truck and had access to anywhere he wanted to go without a piece of hardware underneath him. Yep.
Right.
I can get the freedom. I mean, I when I first started driving my van and getting back behind the wheel of a car, it's weird because like right after the injury, I didn't give a crap about anything like that. Like I didn't want to drive again. I was just like, how am I going to live life? Period. Because spinal cord injury, it's like it just hits you like that.
Right.
So, once I was able to get back behind the wheel and drive again, it's a whole new feeling. It's like it makes you feel normal again, kind of. You know what I mean?
Right. So many people don't understand just the independence and the self-respect you have for being able to drive yourself.
Right.
And when you lose that, it is such a huge thing because all of a sudden that independence is gone. You can't just get up and go to the grocery store, or go visit your friend, or go to the movies. All of a sudden, everything about life is more difficult.
Right.
And so, absolutely, that ability to be able to drive and take yourself places and go places by yourself is huge for your independence and your self worth.
Right. Absolutely. Well said. Um, Next question I got for you is, what is something that you wish you could do right now, that you were never able to do before?
Oh, that's a good question. I've been able to do a lot of cool things in my life, because my disability did progress later. I'm a advanced open water scuba diver. I've been skydiving, I've been rock climbing, I've had the opportunity to do a lot of things. But I think right now, just one thing that I would love to do would be able to be something so simple as be able to stand up and work on my Jeep. Reach down there in the motor and be able to adjust things or change things or do what I need to do. Just the little things that even though I have the knowledge, I don't have the physical ability to be able to do.
Right.
Between my legs and my hands, I have a hard time holding a wrench or holding a screwdriver or anything like that. And so anything that I need done with my vehicles, I have to have somebody else do. And just little things like that, just the day-to-day stuff that so many people take for granted, just that I'd love to have back.
Right. Right. For sure. I can feel it. Understandable for sure.
Right.
What's your pain level like? You got any pain at all?
Gratefully, I don't, which for people with neuropathy, of course, as you know, is pretty rare.
Right.
A lot of people get the pins and needles, they
Nerve
get, the
pain, yeah.
cramping, all kinds of stuff. And I am very, very lucky that I don't have any pain. I think, whatever God you want to believe in or whatever level of spirituality, I think whoever it was that made me this way, they knew what they were doing, because pain is one thing that I don't think I could deal with on a daily basis. Those people that deal with chronic pain and neuropathic pain, I couldn't deal with that.
Right.
So I am very, very lucky and very blessed that I don't have any neurological pain or anything like that.
Right. Now it's kind of a personal question, but what is your medications? You got medications you take at all, or what? Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Dang,
Because
lucky.
the damage doesn't really. I mean, there's no way to fix it. There's no way to make it better. And so I'm not on anything. The only thing I take literally is just a probiotic, just to help with digestion stuff. But there's no medicine right now that will help my condition. I mean, there's some things that people say, oh, you could take, B12 or amino acids, or you could take fish oil and it might help. I've tried it all and nothing has seemed to make any difference. So, I mean, I see my doctor once a year. I've got, I don't have any heart issues or cholesterol issues or blood pressure. I'm as freaking healthy as a horse.
Right.
Except for the obvious,
Right.
So now we're very, very lucky and blessed.
Yeah, and fish oil's gross, man. Every time you burp that stuff up, it's like it never goes away. It stays with you for like 2 days. You're just like, get out of my system.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now this next question I got, leveled as like a STI patient or something, but it's what helps you the most after your injury. And I guess for you, we would put as like, kind of what helped you the most, kind of like when you started, succumbing to it, what kind of helped you the most get around it?
My biggest thing, I think, is being outdoors. Ever since I was a kid, I love being outdoors. I grew up in Colorado, going up into the mountains all the time, and just fell in love with that. And so I don't think there's anywhere that I'm ever in the world that I feel better than when I'm sitting behind the wheel of my Jeep out driving some trail. It's my church, it's my zen, it's my, whatever you want to call it, where I get that opportunity to go out there, be in nature, be in control, be in charge. I'm out there, I've got quite a few very, very, very built Jeeps, so I'm out there doing things with other people as well as they can, if not better, and it just gives me that sense of this is who I am, and it's weird because I've often thought without my Jeep, I'm not sure who I would be, because it has defined me in my life for almost 30 years now.
Right.
That it's hard to even imagine what I would be without that. And so I think that's, to me, my biggest thing is just being out in my Jeep, out in nature with friends, having a good time.
Awesome. And that's one thing I know about Jeeps is they sure as coming home to the crow's nest. Do not quit. Jeeps will always work. That's why
Right.
the United States Army invented or developed them, right? Back in World War II, I think that's when they
Right.
first hit the thing. They needed to get through the muck and the cruck and all that stuff. So,
Absolutely. Yep. That's why they started World War II and then just went from there.
yeah, I'm a World War
Yeah.
II nut. That's my thing. I'm collecting all kinds of World War II stuff now. I can't afford like anything
Oh,
like
that's awesome.
guns or anything, but I got like movies and books and different stuff like that.
Very cool. Yeah, I used to be a high school history teacher, and World War II has always been one of my favorite time periods.
Right, absolutely. I mean, it's a big part in our life. I mean, a lot of stuff changed that time. You know what I mean? You can still look back and
So much.
reference things. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, the world
Um.
would be so different if that hadn't happened.
Oh, I
Absolutely.
know, right? It would be. Let's talk about hobbies. You do your Jeep thing. Is there like you got like a meeting group you meet up with? You guys go out and do like climbing stuff or anything like that? What do you do there?
Mhm. Yeah, there's a lot of groups and clubs and things like that. In southern Utah, before I lived over in a hurricane area, I lived over in Moab, and I was very active with a lot of the off-road community there, doing Jeep safari and doing a lot of the big events and stuff like that. And now out here, there's a couple different events that I participate in and I go out with different clubs and groups. Trail Hero is a big one that happens every fall. One of the things I really like about them is they have a special needs access trail ride where we take out special needs individuals from the local community and give them an opportunity to go out and go wheeling with us.
Nice.
We provide them lunch, we give them a free T-shirt, stuff like that, and take people out that oftentimes otherwise wouldn't have the ability, either because of a physical or mental disability. And so that's a really, really neat opportunity and give back to the community and have a good time with that.
Heck yeah, awesome. It sounds like a lot of good time, a lot of fun. I
It is.
I've been to a couple of those events before up here in Michigan, and I mean it's some of the muddy ones. I mean you're gonna get dirty no matter what, but
Yeah.
the other ones like the different trail rides and stuff like that. Like I mean it can be peaceful, but it can also be exciting at the same time.
Right, right. And a lot of what we do out here, because we're in the desert, we don't do much of the mud stuff. Pretty much all of the stuff we have down here is sand and rock.
Right.
And so we call it the rock crawling. And so most of the time you're going slower than walking speed. And I mean, I'll drive over, couch-sized rocks and
Yeah.
bigger. I always kind of joke, I can't walk 10 feet, but I can drive up a 10-foot wall, and it's a
How
lot.
much clearance do you got on your Jeep?
So my big Jeep that I've owned for 25 years, it's gone through a whole bunch of different variations. They've been built and rebuilt and rebuilt. But right now I'm running 42-inch tires on it. And so under my axles, I've probably got about 16 inches. And then under my belly pan, I'm probably about 24 inches.
Oh, so about 2 feet. That's pretty good size, pretty good distance.
Yeah.
Van Hagar says Moab, a dream of mine for my Jeep. I think he's from Colorado too, as well. Van, ain't you?
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Moab is a lot of fun. It's the beauty and the scenery out there is amazing. But out here where I live, the big area we have is called Sand Hollow. And that's why I moved out here because I actually like the wheeling in Sand Hollow even better than Moab.
Right.
So, yeah, it's amazing.
For sure. What about travel? What do you like since you've progressed and stuff like that? What are your I mean, because you don't have any pain. What is your travel
Right.
like? You like traveling around at all or what?
I love traveling, going on road trips. Flying, of course, is difficult. Anybody in the chair knows how much of a pain in the butt that is to
I
try
stay
to
away.
fly.
I stay away.
Do what you can.
Right.
But I love going on cruises, going on road trips. I enjoy camping, but it's getting more and more difficult these days, just getting on and off the ground. At some point, I'd love to get an accessible RV or camper or something that would allow me to be able to go out and do that type of stuff more. But yeah, I love traveling, getting out and seeing new things. One of my big things, I love going out to different national parks. I've been to, I think, like 23 of the 50 something national parks.
Nice.
Love that. Go out and visit people. I've driven back and forth across the country multiple times. So, when I was in college, I did a couple of study abroads. So I lived in Israel for a little while. I lived in Denmark for a summer.
Oh, you've been around.
So doing things and getting out is amazing. I love it. That's one thing I wish I could do more and easier is travel.
Right. Heck yeah. So I guess the last question that I got for you. Well, actually, before we get to the last question, you said you ride like I see you got a track chair. So you got like one of
Yep.
those action track chairs. What else do you ride?
Yep.
You got a couple different scooters or what?
Yeah, so I've got my main daily is just a Pride zero turn that I usually use, four-wheel zero turn. That's what I use because it gets me in and around the house real well. And then I've got my track chair that actually is one that stands me up. It's the track stander, so that's real nice. And then other than that, if I'm out and about, I'm in my Jeep, you know. So I do have like a manual chair, like if I'm going somewhere, I don't want to take the scooter, but with my hands, it's hard for me to navigate that. So pretty much have to be pushed by somebody. But so that's the main two is my just regular my scooter or my track chair, the two that I use most often.
Do you have a name for any of them?
You know, a lot of people, especially Jeepers, are into naming vehicles. I never really got into that. I'm not creative enough, I guess.
What? Oh man.
Yeah. Like my big green Jeep, I call it the green Jeep or the CJ. You know, it's just some people get more creative and I just never have been.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's one of those things. Once you get into the habit of it, it never stops. Like, you know, it's just like my Permobile right now. I got a F3 I'm in right now, and I call it Johnny 5. That's when I first got it. I thought it was like cool.
Nice.
And then I got a
Yeah.
white action track chair, kind of like the one you got, the Stander. And it's all white. It's matte white with a shiny black gloss bottom. And I call that
cool.
one White Lightning. And so I put a bunch of like white, bright white LEDs on it and stuff. It's pretty sweet.
That's awesome.
I gotta do some more videos on it, but yeah, no, for sure. I don't know. I think it's just like you said, like a personality thing. I mean, it's, you know, you come up with one, you're gonna come up with 50 of them for all your different stuff. So.
Right. Yeah, if I call the track chair anything, I call it badass because that's what everybody refers to it as.
There you
Anytime
go.
they see it, they're like, "Oh, that thing is so badass," you know.
Yeah.
So I guess if it had a name, maybe that would be it. 'Cause that's what everybody calls it.
Heck yeah. Well, last one I got for you, Dave, is what? So let's say there's a person in like, you know, the hospital or somebody that got diagnosed with what you have. Well, what would be your best advice for them, you know, going forward?
I think the biggest thing that I would suggest is we all struggle. I mean, obviously some of us more than others, but pretty much universally everybody as they get older is going to have some kind of an issue. Whether it's a mobility issue, some kind of physical limitations, a mental illness, even an emotional problem. You know, we all have our issues that we've got to deal with. And that's one of the things that I tried to do in my book was talk about with my disability. And my attitude is basically, hey, look, we've only got one life. And so we can either sit at home on the couch, we can whine and complain about our life, or we can go out and live it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done my best to try to go out and live my life despite my limitations and the challenges that I have. So that's what I would say to everybody. You know what? Is life fair? Absolutely not. Does it suck that you're in a chair? 100%. But should you stop living? Should you stop going out? Should you stop adventuring? Should you stop doing whatever it is that you love and that you're passionate about? Absolutely not. Figure out a way to do it. Figure out a way to get off the couch. Figure out a way to live the best life that you can. It's the only life we got. And so I'm not willing to waste it. So that's my recommendation to people is live your life. Whatever that looks like for you with your limitations and your challenges, figure out a way to live it the best way that you can to bring joy and happiness to yourself, your family, and those around you.
I like it, Dave. That was 100% very intricate and to the point. I really appreciate that. That was nice. It's almost like you wrote that down. You didn't write that down, did you?
It's almost like I wrote a book, right?
Almost like you wrote a book. And speaking of which, we are going to put all of your information. So, like anything that you want us to share, you know, social media, Amazon stuff, anything else, give me the link, shoot the link over. Shortly after we do this, I'll take that, I'll attach it to the Facebook and the YouTube. That way both platforms will have all your information. People just got to click you and find you. And then follow along with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I've done a little bit on YouTube. I'm real active on Facebook. I've got an Instagram page I'm not real active on. I do have a TikTok that I don't do a lot with, but all of them are the Gimpy Jeep Guy.
Gimpy
And so if you
Jeep
type in
Guy.
the Gimpy Jeep Guy, one word, and you can find me on pretty much all of those.
One word, no spaces.
But then I can send you the links to those, and I can send you the link to my book on Amazon. And then if anybody's interested in purchasing the book, and I can do an autograph copy, They can also buy the book directly from me. They can just private message me on Facebook or anything like that, and I'll do an autograph book and send it out to you that way as well.
There you go. You heard it straight from the horse's mouth. So we'll put all that on there for you, David, and then hit him up, check him out. This guy's living life, man. That's how you're supposed to do it. Dave, stick with us. Don't go anywhere. Everybody else, thanks for watching along. I'm going to play a little bit of Tony Hatch. And catch us on the next Wheelchair Wednesday. Coming up next Wednesday, live at 5 p.m. Eastern. Van Hagar said, attitude maketh the difference. GS, good show. G-Pon, David. All right, we'll see you guys in a little bit. Dave, stay with us. Thanks for watching Wheelchair Wednesday.